What's going on YouTube? Now of course minivans are not known to be fashionable vehicles, but Toyota was the first brand to strike against that notion with this swagger wagon. Today it is still one of the most fashionable minivans, and for 2020 Toyota is doubling down on that with new additions such as a nightshade model. Of course, we do want to especially thank our friends at Frankfurt Toyota for giving us access to the Sienna SE. And if you're in the market for any new Toyota, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that said, let's see what changes Toyota has made to the Swagger Wagon. So starting out with the exterior styling, the main things carry over unchanged from a recent refresh. But, like I already mentioned, the big change is the new nightshade model for 2020. This Sienna SE is already the most aggressive looking model, but for $700, the nightshade package will add a fully blacked out mesh grille and blacked out mirrors, door handles, and badging. Amongst the standard models, almost every single trim has a different grille design and finish. The headlights, on the other hand, mostly stay the same across the trims, since they are halogens on all but the Limited Premium, where they become HIDs. Additionally, you're going to have to go up to at least the SE to get the LED daytime running lights. And then fog lights are found on all but the lowest two trims. Heading around to the back, there have been no styling updates, so you'll continue to find the sportiest styling in the lineup here on the SE. Besides for the flared out lower moldings, the LED taillights with clear lenses are also unique to this trim. But regardless, you're never going to find exposed exhaust pipes. So overall, the Sienna has definitely not lost its swagger when it comes to styling, especially if you go for the SE or the new Nightshade edition. Now when it comes to the wheels, it's pretty complicated to determine which ones you get. While almost every trim comes with a different wheel on front wheel drive models, for whatever reason, when you upgrade to all-wheel drive, the lower trims then come with the same 18-inch 10-spoke alloys that the Limited comes with. The SE comes with the largest wheels in the lineup, with these 19-inch gunmetal alloys, or a fully blacked out version with the Nightshade model. Heading on up to the mirrors, they are heated on all but the base model, auto dimming on the Limited, and you'll find blind spot monitoring on the majority of models. But of course, as a family vehicle, the most important features are active safety systems. Unlike the competitors, Sienna makes automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, and auto high beam headlights standard on even the base L model. And finally, finishing out the exterior, every Sienna has a 20-gallon fuel tank, good for ranges of 420 miles with front-wheel drive, and 400 miles with all-wheel drive, of course using regular unleaded fuel. But anyways, that's it for the outside. So now let's get to the far more important interior. So most versions of the Sienna do come standard with the smart entry system and this nice key fob. On this specific SE, this is part of the preferred equipment group. You can also add remote start as a dealer accessory. As far as getting inside the vehicle, there is a sensor behind the handle, so all you have to do is grab it. Alright, so peeking inside the 2020 Sienna SE. As you can see, the interior has pretty much carried over unchanged, but it continues to be very stylish, especially here on the SE. Now since there are a ton of different trims you can get the Sienna in, there are also a lot of different interior combinations. So we'll start out with your base models, the L and the LE. They have cloth seating in ash or dark bisque colors. And then when you go up to the XLE or the Limited, that's going to upgrade you to leather with those same colors, plus an exclusive chestnut color for the Limited only. Finally, here on this SE, black with the contrast stitching is going to be the only option, and it is also leather. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is nicely appointed. You got a big patch of softly padded leatherette through here for your arm to rest on, and then you will find exclusive faux carbon fiber trim. As far as the windows, they are one-touch automatic for all four, and then the Limited would also have two-person memory seating. Coming down here to the seat, all but the very base L model will have an 8-way power seat with 2-way lumbar support. And like I was saying, we do have the leather seating with the kind of white color contrast stitching. It definitely looks very attractive, especially for a minivan. So as you all probably know, the Sienna has been around for a while. However, the cabin is holding up very well. You do have pretty good materials. So across this upper part here, you got this leatherette with the color contrast stitching, and then this top part here is hard touch. Dropping down to the middle, we have more of this same leatherette with the color contrast stitching, and then some more of the faux carbon fiber trim. And of course, as you expect, all of these lower areas are hard touch, but everything fits together really well, and most importantly, it feels very durable. Now to start the Sienna, you're just going to push the button to start. And when you do, every single model will come standard with this 7-inch touch display. I believe that was added in 2018. Now over here at your gauges, there are a lot of different finishes you can get the gauges in. On this specific SE, we have the sporty white finish for the tachometer and speedometer, but all of them are going to have the 4.2-inch multifunction display. This simply contains all the typical things you expect from Toyota, like your audio, phone, voice commands, messages, as well as in the settings here, you can adjust your various safety systems. And coming back to your steering wheel, it is electric power assisted across the range, and you do have the nice leather wrapping on the SE and up. As far as your buttons, they are the typical Toyota buttons. So you have the audio, phone, and voice commands over here. And then on this side, this controls your multifunction display, a couple of your safety systems, and then your standard adaptive cruise control. Up top here, you would find rain sensing wipers on the Limited Premium only. However, across the range, the steering wheel is manually tilt and telescoping, and then heated on the regular Limited and up. But anyways, moving on to interior storage, that of course is a big important part of a minivan, and Toyota does a great job here. So as typical, you don't really have a center console, you just have open space. So you can fold this armrest up, stick anything you want to right here. Then you can open up this bin, and as you can see, this goes all the way down to the floor. So this is like 2 feet deep. You do have a felt lining down the bottom, and it goes all the way over there, so definitely a huge amount of space. You got your 2 cup holders, and then they leave all this area free, so this is a great spot to stick a purse, a diaper bag, different family items, groceries, whatever you need to put. Up above that, you have another nice shelf here, stick a phone, whatnot, and you do have some more cup holders, so you can have 4 up here in the front. And then finally, you've got your 12-volt outlet, your USB port, and your aux jack right there. So definitely practicality is put at the forefront of this vehicle. Now Toyota is able to do this because even though they have a traditional shifter, they mounted it way up here, so it's definitely out of the way. It is your gated, traditional Toyota gated shifter, so you just pull down for drive. You can bump over here to the left to shift manually, but none of the models are going to have paddle shifters. When we head up into reverse, you will find a standard backup camera. We do not have active trajectory here, But on this SE with the preferred equipment package, that adds in the parking sensors. There is no option for a 360-degree camera system at this time. And then kind of heading back to where we just came from, you will notice your 3-stage heated seat controls. These are standard on the SE and up. There is no seat ventilation. And coming on up here, you will find the standard 3-zone automatic climate controls. As you can see, like all parts of a minivan, they are very ergonomically friendly. So you have these large knobs to make adjustments to both the driver, passenger, and the rear temperature controls. And everything is represented physically here. Nothing is up in the infotainment system or anything complicated like that. Now heading on up here, most of the models come with a standard 6-speaker sound system, but the Limited comes standard with the JBL Premium sound system, which is actually what we have optioned on with the preferred SE package. So let's go ahead and take a sample of the 10-speaker JBL. Sound quality is pretty good, and it fills up the large cabin well. But anyways, that takes us up here to our Entune 3.0 system, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. Now, since this is pretty much the same system as in a lot of other Toyota models, I won't spend a ton of time on it, but we'll go ahead and hit the highlights. Like I said, this is a 7-inch display. As you can see, you do still have a CD player, and then you have shortcut buttons, physical tune, and volume knobs, and then you have some more controls on that side. So just jumping into the home screen, like every Entune 3.0 system, you have some different shortcuts that you can click straight into to expand them. Now, part of this model's preferred equipment package does give us the dynamic navigation system, which is included standard on only the Limited trim. This is Toyota's newest system, so it has very good graphics. As you can see, it is also very responsive. Then when we hit menu, this brings us to all of our other applications. However, most important to a lot of you is the projection button here. This is where the Apple CarPlay system will fire up when you plug in an iPhone. This was added last year, but there is still no Android Auto for 2020. Beyond that, everything is pretty much the same as what we expect from the Entune 3.0 system. So if you want to get more information about it, then watch our dedicated tech help video. A link to that is in the video description. Carrying on up from here, most of your models do come with this auto-dimming mirror with the 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And most of your models come with this moonroof. This is the standard version. It comes on the XLE and up, but it is an option on this SE. However, there is also a dual panel version that you can get on the Limited trim. But overall, I think the Toyota Sienna's cabin continues to succeed at its mission. You know, like I already mentioned, this is an older cabin, but it's holding up really, really well, and it definitely hits all the fundamentals that people expect in a minivan. Now we'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will finish up the rest of the cabin.
Alright, now like any minivan, all you have to do to open the rear door is grab this little handle, and it is power, of course, and it will slide right out of the way. Now checking out the rear seat itself, obviously this is a very important part of any minivan, and the Sienna does excel in this area. It has 38 inches of rear legroom and 40 inches of rear headroom, which is obviously plenty of space for any family. However, that does place it a little bit behind the Honda Odyssey. Now as far as the seat itself, It is a beautiful design here in the SE with nice color contrast stitching, and you will notice that we do have captain's chairs on this model if you were to remove this middle seat. Getting in, obviously to shut the door, all I have to do is push this button. And looking at the door trim itself, obviously it's not too elaborate or anything, but you do have a fully automatic window, as well as rear window sunshades, surprisingly on all but the very base L model. Now here in the center area, on this SE model, it does come very nicely equipped. So you will find these 2 smart charging USB ports, as well as a household style outlet on the XLE trims and up. And down below that, you will also find 2 folding cup holders. And up here on the roof, you will find your standard 3-zone climate control. So as you can see, you can adjust your fan speeds, as well as your temperatures, and this is standard across all of the Sienna lineup. Now beside that, you will find your vents, as well as your assist grip, coat hook, and lighting. Now as far as rear space is concerned, obviously, as with any minivan, there is plenty of it. So behind cruise seating position, I probably have about 2 feet of rear leg room, so tons of space, and my feet can slide easily up under the seat. Sliding over, even with it all the way back, this seat is adjusted all the way back, I still have probably a foot or so of space. Now I do also want to mention that this model, like I said, does have captain's chairs, so you do have these nice folding armrests, and this middle seat can be removed if you do not need the extra passenger back here. And to get into the third row, all you have to do is locate this little lever, and it will fold the seat kind of like a sandwich, and then all you have to do is slide it right out of the way. Now as far as your rear specs are concerned, it is rated at 36.3 inches of rear legroom and 38 inches of rear headroom. So let's go ahead and get back here and see what it's like for an adult. So first, sitting back here, I am extremely impressed. This is a very, very comfortable third row. As you can see, I have several inches of rear leg room to spare, and it is worth noting that this seat is scooted all the way back. Now as far as my feet, I also have plenty of room for them, so they're very comfortable. And off to the side, I do have some amenities as well. So I have 2 cup holders, as well as a little storage area. It's actually not very little, it's plenty of space in there. And you do also have a rear window sunshade as well. Now in addition to that, you do have some vents, as well as an assist grip. So overall, this third row is actually a very wonderful place to spend time. This is going to be a lot better than what you'll find in a lot of large 3-row SUVs. And before I get out of here, I do also want to mention that on the premium models, you will have a 16.3-inch rear seat entertainment system. I did fail to mention that in the second row, but that is on all of the premium models, the XLE, SE, and Limited. And to slide it back into place, all you have to do is push forward, and then push this button to slide it, and it does go right back into place. Now coming around to the tailgate itself, it is power on the SE trims and up. So all you have to do is locate the button under the lid, and it will open right up. Now once inside the Sienna's trunk, you are going to find a ton of space, even for a minivan. You'll find 39 cubic feet behind the third row seats, thanks to all this space down here being plenty big enough. And if you want more space, you can fold the third row seats, and behind the second row, you're going to find 89 cubic feet of space. Now, if you want the maximum amount of space, you are going to have to remove the second row seats, and that's going to give you a massive 150 cubic feet, which is about as big as any vehicle on the market today. Now, it is worth noting that that is larger than the Honda Odyssey, if you want that for reference, and there are several ways to fold the seats. So it's very difficult to do with one hand, so I'm just going to insert a little clip that shows you how to fold these third row seats flat with the floor, and also how to fold and adjust the second row seats. But if you have all of the rows in place and you need the maximum amount of people in here, as you can tell, there is tons of room down here. This is a very deep area. We fit all of our camera equipment back here, no issues. And off to the side, you do also have some more storage bins. We will discuss the pricing in just a minute. And the passenger seat is also a 4-way power adjusting on the upper trims. Now, as far as your storage areas, you do have plenty of them. So you have a nicely sized glove box that is dampened. And up here, you do also have another little pop-out storage area here that can fit plenty of stuff as well. Up top, you have a sun visor with mirror and light, and it does also detach, and it does extend as well. But anyway, guys, that sums up all of the third row and second row areas of the Sienna. So now let's go ahead and get on the road and see how this Swagger wagon performs. Alright, so getting into the powertrain information here. Basically, everything regarding that does carry over. So you've got the 3.5 liter V6 engine. That's the only option. Of course, several years ago they did eliminate the 4-cylinder option, so you just have the 3.5 liter V6, and that makes 296 horsepower and 263 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and you have front or all-wheel drive, which I believe is still class exclusive to standard minivans. The electric Pacifica might have all-wheel drive, I think, but as far as the standard gas-powered ones, this is the only minivan that offers all-wheel drive. Across the lineup, fuel economy is pretty good. The front-wheel drive version is rated at 19 city, 26 highway, 21 combined, and the all-wheel drive version at 18, 24, 20. But anyways, now we'll go ahead and take it for a spin and see if it lives up to the exterior. Going around that little corner there, I have to say that the steering actually is pretty heavy. It certainly feels heavier than what I expect from a minivan. The SE does have some more touches on the sport side versus the other trims. Taking off and getting up to highway speed, definitely feels like that it's got plenty of power. You know, this is similarly sized and the same type of engine as the Highlander, and that's kind of what it feels like. But you can definitely get up to highway speed plenty well and safely. You've got plenty of transmission gears, of course, having 8, so it, you know, can get in the right gear to give you the power that when you need it. I mean, with this car, obviously the power is not going to like knock your socks off or anything like that. It is a minivan after all. However, I would like to just point out that, you know, with this car, if it's adequate, that's really all you need. You know, this is a car that you're going to be driving around your family in, all their friends and all that stuff, and you really don't need a hot rod to do that. And this car really does it well, and it delivers that power smoothly. And it doesn't matter if it's not super fast, it's still delivering everything that it needs to do for a minivan. You know, and now that we're up to good speed here, I do want to talk about just how comfortable this car is. Obviously, this is a minivan, so the comfort is the top priority, and the Sienna definitely does this really well. You know, even though we are in the SE trim level, you would think that this would maybe be a little bit more hard-edged, but I'm going to tell you that it's extremely comfortable, so don't walk away from the SE trim just because you think it's going to be too rough or anything, because this thing rides extremely smooth. You have great seats. These seats are awesome, tons of space, and you know, it just really is a very quiet and nice place to spend time with all of your family here.
As far as the transmission, it definitely does a really good job. Shifts out quickly and smoothly, so you don't have any herky-jerky, any hesitation between shifts or anything. You know, like Mason said, smooth and comfortable. That's what's important. And it does also, you know, it doesn't hesitate to downshift if it needs to get you more power. But overall, the Sienna definitely does a good job on all the important things. You know, this is this sporty? No, it's never going to be sporty or particularly fun to drive. It is a minivan. You know, it is the swagger wagon, and it definitely, I think, is still very eye-catching on the outside. And you know, if you're going to drive a minivan, why not drive the one that's stylish? But definitely, like Mason already mentioned, don't be concerned. Don't think that you're giving up on comfort or anything like that. The SE is a cosmetic thing. It's still tremendously comfortable, and it does, like I said, all of the good minivan things with space, comfort, and reliability.
Now let's go ahead and discuss the pricing of this 2020 Toyota Sienna. Now there are a ton of different trim levels for you to pick between, so basically you pick whatever you want. So for the very base model, which is the L trim, that's going to come in at $31,415. The LE at $34,235. The XLE at $37,565. The SE, which is what we have here, at $37,565. XLE Premium, $41,255. The SE Premium at $43,660, the Limited at $44,310, and finally you have the top-end Limited Premium, and that comes in at $47,830. And it is worth noting, like Drew was saying, there is all-wheel drive as an option on all of those trims, and that's going to add $2,500, approximately $2,500.
And even though it does have an outrageous number of trims, don't be intimidated, as you've seen throughout the review. Especially with the premium versions, there's very few differences.
Now, as far as how this particular model is equipped, we do have just the regular SE trim, but we still do have a few options added on top of that. So we have the SE Preferred package for $3,800, as well as carpet floor mats for $239. And finally, when you add in the destination charge of $1,095, this particular model as equipped comes in at $42,714, which is pretty much right in line with all the competition. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching this in-depth look at the 2020 Toyota Sienna SE. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.
Mm-hmm.